Living with COVID-19 has become strangely synonymous with living at home. And that means the next most important thing on everyone's mind is when they can get out. And what better way to do that than on a motorcycle, right? Well, yes, but it's not my idea. You see, Bajaj reckon there's going to be a huge influx of fresh new riders who might find the idea of starting their riding career on a 400-500cc motorcycle too daunting. And to that end, well, they've done this. This is the Bajaj Dominar, but instead of the beating heart of the KTM 390 Duke, this one's got a 250cc motor, which they got from, well, KTM. Now, cosmetically, the Bajaj Dominar 250 is identical to its sibling, except for this red color, which is exclusive to the 250. Dimensionally, it's the same as well, right down to the wheelbase. To really know what sets the Dominar 250 apart, we'll have to look a little closer. Starting at the front, the tires and wheels are now slimmer, down to a 100 section in place of a 110 section. Then of course there's the 37mm fork, that's a downsize from the 43mm USDs on the 400. At the back you get 130 section tires, down from the 150 section tires on the 400, and a new box type rear swing arm that replaces the aluminium set on the 400. So at this point you're probably wondering how Bajaj have cornered costs using the same frame and most of the cycle parts that they used before. Well, it's in the little things like the swing arm and the fact that the console and instruments are from the previous generation of Dominar. Best bit, you still get a massive 13-litre fuel tank, which when paired with the smaller motor should mean a considerably enhanced range. So let's talk about this 250cc motor that's been adapted for the Dominar from the KTM Duke 250. From the bottom down, it's almost identical to the KTM 250, but from the top half is where Bajaj have reworked it to give it a more Dominar-like demeanor, which means that there's more power in the mid-range and it's a little less peaky than the KTM 250 Duke. To put that in figures, the Dominar 250 makes 27 horsepower to the Duke's 30. But it makes peak power 500 RPM earlier. It's the same story with the torque. The Dominar 250 makes 23.5 Nm of torque, 0.5 less than the Duke, but achieves that torque 500 RPM earlier. As a result, the Dominar 250 gets a meaty mid-range that continues all the way to the top of the power band, and as such gives it its own unique identity that sets it apart from the manic Duke 250. Out on the road, you begin to really appreciate the Dominar's 6-speed gearbox, which it shares with its KTM sibling. Now, the first 3 ratios are short, which is great to use in the city, while the next 3 gears are slightly taller, which is ideal for highway use. This gives the Dominar 250 a real dual nature, which makes it all that much more lovable. Of course, you also get the slipper clutch, which makes downshifts a breeze and keeps the Dominar really stable even under extreme downshift. In the twisties though, the Dominar is predictably relaxed, courtesy the long wheelbase. Direction changes as a result require some premeditation. The slimmer tires do their fair bit in making up for it with marginally quicker steering. Although traffic is the Dominar 250's Achilles heel, its bland bottom end and longish wheelbase then come into play, as does the 180 kilo curb weight. Although it's far from a deal breaker, this does put a damper on things. Another slight problem is the smaller brakes, which do get dual channel ABS, but since they are smaller by a considerable margin, they do make a massive change to the brake force, and you find yourself wishing for a little more bite. Now, it sure does seem like Bajaj has the right idea when it comes to the Dominar 250. And with COVID glasses on, the idea gains some perspective. Now Bajaj have priced the Dominar 250 at about 1,60,000 rupees, which is 35,000 less than the Dominar 400, but it is also 45,000 rupees less than the Duke 250. And that considered, I think the Dominar 250 is a really good deal. And that's what it really is. It's a well executed idea in a good package, and I think that's something that the Dominar brand needed all along.